I think we ought to read only the kind of books that wound or stab us, said Franz Kafka. He believed that books that do not wake you up with a blow to your head do not really matter. Like an axe in a frozen lake, only that can help us get back alive. Kafka's works and their unique themes have captivated the readers across generations. His themes of alienation, absurdity, and nightmarish themes have made him relevant, and mainly Gen Z is quite obsessed with him for his themes of alienation and his humor that's just relatable to their lifestyle today. In this video, we will talk about his work Metamorphosis, published in the year 1915. After a century, it is still relevant for its themes today. The novella begins with the line, "One morning, when Gregor Samsa woke up from troubled dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a horrible vermin." Now, what a way to start a story. He begins observing his appearance with a firm body and many legs that just waved about helplessly. Now, this transformation into an insect is a symbol. It can represent a person who has observed themselves to have been changed into something less human than what others consider it to be. A person who might feel that they have lost all of their normal humanly emotions and abilities and just reduced down to a helpless creature. What's happened to me? That is all the time he takes to question his change. He does not question it, he does not fight it, or neither is he angry about it. He just silently accepts it and begins adapting to this body. This is a quality observed across Kafka's other works too. Gregor just decides to go back to sleep and forget this nightmare, but he is unable to do so because of his incompetency of this new body. And meanwhile, we are informed that Gregor is a traveling salesman. He hates his job. He curses it. He thinks it's unfortunate and stupid life to go on traveling to the office in this rat race of a life. He feels clustered and almost trapped by the debt his family has to his strict boss. Now, this lifestyle is synonymous to almost everyone else today. We feel that we are stuck in a rat race that no one wants to compete, and this can easily drain a normal human life out of someone. He dreams that in another 5 or 6 years, when the debt is over, he will leave his job and live out his dreams. But we can observe that it's almost too late, as his body has already given up. Gregor constantly makes numerous attempts to get out of this bed. He wants to catch the train. That's all that is in his mind. He does not take time to understand the change, what has happened, but rather he attempts to adapt to it so he can reach his goal of going to work the day. As time goes by, his family begins getting concerned. His mother, sister, and also the father. Later, the chief clerk of their office comes home, not out of concern, but out of suspicion that he must have cheated him. It is observable that the family, at least his sister, is highly concerned when they hear his voice. He attempts to tell them that he is just sick, but his altered voice that sounds almost like an animal's tone alarms them. He constantly attempts to get out of the bed, and along the way learns about how his new body works and finding ways to adapt to it so function faster. This led me to a question. Was Gregor already aware that this day would come? That he will one day change into something that is not human? for he accepted his change without a question. Now, after numerous attempts, he finally manages to get out of his bed. He communicates to them, but his voice comes out as unrecognizable animal sounds to them. It shows how Gregor was able to understand and adapt to this just fine, but his family outside were unable to even understand what he was expressing. It shows the situation of a person who is going through a mental struggle and how the people around are either unwilling or unable to understand them. Finally, Gregor opens the door, exposing to them his new metamorphosized body. Now their reaction is something completely different. The chief clerk reacts with an "oh" and just steps back, attempting to run away. He is an outsider, so he can leave, of course. The mother, she takes 2 steps forward, but then she just sinks down, unable to even reach him. This might be her inability to go forward, or how she does not make any efforts to do anything further. His father just stands there hostile. Coming out, he states to them that he is ready now and will get back to work, irrespective of the condition he is in. This shows us how we do not give attention to what we are going through. How big it could be, we are just concerned in getting our day's job done. Gregor's brain is perfectly functionable as a human, but he is not understood. His appearance in others' eyes, which is completely turned into an insect, and his words too are just incomprehensible to others. The people are unable or unwilling to listen to him or attempt to understand him. The mother, who initially wanted to go and get him, soon retreats, showing how they could not even afford to look at him. Even more gut-wrenching scenario happens when the father takes on a stick and a newspaper to drive Gregor back into his room. He stamps his feet and hisses like to an animal, forcefully yoinking him into a room. This leaves Gregor completely injured. This injury is physical, but it can also express the depth it had affected him. The family just locks him up, considering him a threat, a disgust, and a disgrace to the family. A doctor who was initially brought is also sent away. This is symbolical for how there is no attempt to cure or help him out is made by the family, for they have completely considered him to have become an animal and that nothing can be done. Only his younger sister, Greta, is seen to care about him. She leaves him with food, and he enjoys rotten fruits and cheese, showing us the complete insectification of Gregor. He recollects his past life, past human life, where he had been working for the family hard to help them out with the business of his father that had been in loss. He loved his sister, and he was also hoping to send her to a music school because she loved playing the violin. And only she was in contact with him, cleaning his room and bringing him his food. Even the mother, irrespective of the love she has for him, couldn't manage to even see him. The saying, "a face only a mother can love," is exploited here, as even the mother is afraid of looking at his face. Gregor and his family slowly begin adapting to this lifestyle, for Gregor understands his body better, and he also realizes that he likes climbing the walls and hanging there. The complete cutoff of human exchanges with him and any attention has led him to completely transform himself into the insect he has become. He does not make much attempts to turn back into the human he was. And the family too attempts to live a life without the income Gregor was giving them. He cares for the family and he always listens to everything they talk about. This is how he is completely normal still inside, but no one is interested in understanding that. His younger sister, who was initially considered not that responsible, now feels more authoritative in Gregor related matters. And one day she attempts to move away all the furniture in his room along with his mother so he might have more room to crawl around. Now, this kind of saddens the mother as she feels this might affect all the relations he might have to the life he had been living, and Gregor too agrees to that. But his sister, feeling strongly against it, feels the need to do this. Gregor, who begins feeling ashamed for he wanted to completely adapt to this insect life and wanting to turn his room into a dark cave, realizes about what he wants to be. On Gregor's attempt to safeguard these furnitures into the room, he happens to stay in a picture which is noticed by his mother. On the sight of Gregor, she faints. He is highly saddened by this and he feels an urge to help them out, but he feels helpless completely as he just stands there and observes the situation. And at the same time, his father comes home and he is highly alarmed by the situation and feels that Gregor must be punished for this action. The father's character too has completely transformed. Initially, he was just a helpless person who was sitting there at the house reading newspaper and eating food. But now, he has taken up the responsibility going to job, which has completely changed his appearance. This element is observed in all the characters as they feel more independent and developed than they were before. The angry and hostile father now takes up apple pieces and begins throwing them at Gregor. A piece of apple lodges at his back. It completely affects him and hurts him, but no one takes any efforts to help him out. The piece of apple stays in his back, serving as a symbol for the act. Already helpless, now he just lays there physically hurt too. It's frustrating to realize how Gregor can listen to them, think and understand what the family is doing. He even pities and feels happy for them when he realizes that the family has some sufficient money to sustain. What's more alarming is that this money was enough to have freed Gregor from the debt, but was kept without Gregor's knowledge. It shows how they did not have much concern or care for Gregor even before his metamorphosis. After his father's business went into loss, Gregor began earning money, and initially the family was very happy and it was highly appreciated and equated with love. But as time went by, he received nothing much in return. We could observe another perspective as Gregor had very much no social life because of his work, and the love from his family too was nothing much. This could have easily drained out the human life of him. He must have felt completely helpless and could have easily sucked away the life of him, leaving just a small, less than human insect who has nothing much to give back anymore to his boss or the family. After the apple attack, he is slammed into his room. No one gives him much sympathy anymore, and the family begins going to work. They are busy now, and they find no time or attention to give Gregor. They also rent out a room in their flat to 3 gentlemen, and a new housekeeper alone is rented by them to take care of the house. Only she is the person who goes into his room and often bothers him, that he does not appreciate very much. Gregor too begins getting a bit annoyed and angry at his family. Their life goes on this hectic way, and their attention to Gregor is almost nullified. They feel almost hatred for his incompetency to provide him, which has brought them this misfortune. One day, when the three gentlemen had finished their food, they hear Gret, the sister, play her violin. Initially interested, they become indifferent later, as it is nothing magnificent. But Gregor, on the other hand, feels elated by the music, almost like he's healing, like he's back. Seeing his sister do what she loves, he was happy. He slowly leaves the room and moves forward to have better view. He almost feels reluctant to invite his sister into his room and appreciate her for what others were not doing. We can see this is the first ever thing that makes Gregor happy in a healing way. But this too was performed by the family without their knowledge. Coming forward, this leads to him being observed by the tenants. They threaten to leave and report the flat for its untidiness, and they also refuse to pay for their stay. This makes the family more angry. Furious, they curse at Gregor. His sister, the only one who was caring for him, says, "We have to try and get rid of it with hatred." They talk out to him. They say how his presence is torturing them. "Only if he could just understand us," says the father. That is almost just obnoxious, for they are the ones who did not attempt to understand him all the time. This shows us the mindset of people, how we easily blame others. We expect others to give us attention and understand, while we make no efforts to do so. Gregor had been making various efforts to care for them, to understand them, but they were the one who just slammed and attacked him for that. His sister says how that this wild monstrosity was not Gregor. Says how if it were Gregor, he would have left them long ago to let them be in peace. These words make Gregor want to leave himself. Slowly, he attempts to make his way back into his room, and the door is slammed behind him. What now then? He asks himself, as he feels pain all over his body. Slowly he stands there as the pain becomes getting more weaker and weaker. An unexpected end comes as his last breath flows weakly from his nostrils. Gregor has died. In silence, with the thought that his family hates him, Gregor has lost his life. The next morning, the cleaner discovers the dead body of Gregor. She informs the family. Dead? They ask her to confirm. Then they go out to give thanks to God for that. They observe his dead body for a while and see how he had been really thin. With almost indifference, they give these comments. After this incident, the family decides to take a day off, relieved by the loss of Gregor. They are in a cheerful dawn, a new beginning for their prosperous life. Observing the family, they see how their lives have gotten better, their jobs, and also how the small sister has now become a woman who is ready to be married off. The loss of Gregor's life has helped the family gain themselves back. This feels almost evil and diabolical, as the distance was what caused Gregor damage. The lack of love and attention he got from his family. And when this made him completely lose himself, his human self, and helpless, the solution they offered him is also distance, and they expected him to get better. But when finally he had lost himself completely, this has led to the betterment of the family. The life of Gregor is not something comical or completely distant, for it is something we all can relate to and understand. It could be us or someone else around, and I could say that this story has for sure left a stab in me. Every time now that I look at an insect anywhere, I pause for a minute. I think, what must be going inside that little insect's head? What should it be going through that no one else attempts to understand? Hope this story wakes you up too, to look around at the world we're living in. This was never about the insects.